Wednesday is upon us, Metal Summoners. Thank you, as always, for tuning in with us and spending your evening with us, the midpoint of your week, and as far as we're concerned, kicking off your weekend right here with us. It is the Island of Misfit Toys. We have got Bobby Dreyer. We have got Psycho Steve. We have got Angel Alamo. Before we bring in our fantastic guest who is joining us right here on the Metal Summit, we did want to take a moment to say our prayers, our love, and our condolences to the Autograph and Rand family. Randy was a fantastic man and an incredible bass player. He was so good to his fans, so good to his family. He's absolutely going to be missed dearly. The Autograph Camp is very near and dear to this show. As most of you guys know, we are very particular about the guests that we release, and we're not very big into calendars. But anybody who's familiar with our back catalog knows that we've had Steve on the show. We've had Jimmy Bell on the show. We actually do currently plan to have a current member of Autograph on a future episode who is on the calendar. So many members of the band have graced this show, whether it be past or future. So like I said, Autograph is very near and dear to the Metal Summit. And Randy, Regina, our hearts couldn't be more shattered for your family, but we love you guys so much, and we appreciate everything that Randy has done, and just the bright soul as well that Regina has always been. Psycho Steve, let me kick it to you.
Well, I was very, very, very blessed and fortunate to get to see Autograph back in the day, back of a band that we will not mention. They did direct support for, and they were just awesome. And I was fortunate and blessed to hang with Randy and Simon back at M3 in about 3 years ago when they played M3, and just Randy just lit up the room with his smile. He was just so genuine, and he was like, "Hey, I'm going to go grab a bottle of water. You want one?" kind of thing. And it was just like you said before, to the Autograph, the band, their friends and family. We mourn in his loss, but celebrate his memory. That's it.
Absolutely, 100%. Angel, how about yourself, brother? Any fond memories of Autograph?
Just M3 2019. Hearing Autograph play the after party, hearing turn up the radio at 12:30 in the morning was definitely one of the best, most rock and roll highlights. Who doesn't like hearing rock music after midnight live?
Absolutely, for sure. Bobby, how about yourself, man? Any fond Randy or Autograph moments?
Oh my God. Early days, the days of Lamar's playing the Empire in Philly when they came out. It was all those, the classic days, Steve Lynch, but, we're going to miss him.
Absolutely, 100%. And fans, thank you guys so much as well for your continued love and support that have been all over social media in support of the camp and the Rand family. On that note, let's bring in our guest. We are very, very blessed and pleased to be joined by this gentleman who we got to spend a little bit of time with last year at Rockin' Pod when we got to invade his stomping ground down in Nashville. But Bassist extraordinaire, Mr. Billy Sheehan. Sir, thank you for coming on our show tonight.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And just since it was part of our topic, if you don't mind, do you have any particular fond memories of working with or knowing Randy in the Autograph Camp?
I knew a bunch of the Autograph guys in the early days. Kenny Richards was a good friend of mine, the drummer, the original drummer.
Yeah.
And when I first went out to LA, I saw him there, and he actually painted my house at one point when he wasn't playing drums. But I just know they had a great reputation, and I know they were highly respected in that town and a great band. I saw them around here and there, out and about in Hollywood. Always wonderful guys, nice guys. I'm very sorry to hear about Randy. So my condolences to his family and his fans for sure.
Absolutely, for sure. Well, let's brighten things up a little bit. Again, thank you so much for joining us and talk a little bit about what you've got going on right now. You mentioned that you're in your studio. You've been crushing out a lot of tracks and stuff. But what's the current early months of 2020 been doing for Billy Sheehan?
Well, I've been recording. People contact me out of nowhere. I just send me an email. Hey, I got some tracks. Can you play bass? And I learned early on. I got to hear it first before I say yes, because sometimes I get it. Oh man, this is going to be either some prog nightmare of 1,000 changes, and I don't read music. I got to memorize it and then play it. So I can't, I make little notes, but no one else could ever understand them. Or it's something that's just not together as far as, the drums are speeding up and slowing down. But there's been very few that I've had to say no to. And then in that case, I'll give them some advice. Hey, just get your drummer to maybe recut this to a click, get it a little tighter, and I can play to it, no problem. But it's always a good-natured thing. And I've been lucky to play with people all over the world, from Japan and Australia and Brazil, and just did one from Mexico, nice. All over Europe, all over the place, all over the USA. So I'm very thankful for them, because this is the longest I've been home since the 70s with the whole pandemic, no touring thing. So they've been very kind to remunerate me for my services, and I appreciate that very much. So that's all good.
Absolutely, for sure. Steve, it's all you, my man.
So let's go back to the Mr. Big days. Okay. So how did the band form? Did you guys all know each other, or was this like a record executives?
No, I was on my own in LA and wanted to start a band, and I knew Pat Torpey.
Right.
And I knew Paul Gilbert, and I remember thinking of them both and thinking, if I start my own band out here, I'd call Paul and I would call Pat first. And I did. Pat turned out to be probably my closest friend in the music biz from that point on, and just an incredible, solid citizen, a great guy, sang his ass off, played drums like a fiend, and he was a righteous man. Paul Gilbert, very famous. His reputation precedes him. He used to come see me play in Tallis. We played a club in Pittsburgh, Greensburg, actually. Pittsburgh. It was called Stage One. There was also Stage One in Buffalo. It was not that one, the Pittsburgh one. And the stage was only about this high. So as I'm standing there, there's a kid in front of me, right here. The mic is here, and that was Paul, because he's so tall. He's standing right in front of me. He used to come to our shows all the time. I think at one point his band actually opened up for us too, there for Tallis. And he went off to LA to go to a Musicians Institute. And so when I was out there, I knew him. I saw him around here and there. Matter of fact, there was a guitar contest, and Paul was one of the contestants, and I was one of the judges. I forgot who else was the judge. I think the bass player from Whitesnake and a couple other guys at Gazzari's, no less.
Nice.
And, they had a bunch of guys get up, and they were all good. And I said to everybody, all the judges, wait till you see. Hold on a second. Wait till you see. And Paul got up and cleaned house. It was amazing. He killed. So he I don't know what he won, like a Marshall amp or something, but we had a great time. So I stayed in touch, got them both in the band. We needed a lead singer. So the world famous Mike Varney was famous for hooking people up. Mike Varney actually brought Yngwie to America to start a band with me. That was the original plan. I was still on the East Coast, so we couldn't work it out. So Yngwie went on his own, and that was his initial reason for coming here. So Mike Varney was the guy who arranged things of that nature. And so I kept calling and said, Mike, you know any singers? And he said, I got this one guy. He's from the Bay Area, and he's been around, and I go, well, play him for me. So he played me Eric Martin. I said, that's exactly what I'm thinking of. It's exactly what I was talking about. Kind of like Paul Rogers meets Steve Marriott, soulful, in front of a band. We were thinking Bad Company, Free, Spooky Tooth, Humble Pie, bands like that. That jam musicianship, but also blues-based cool songs. So Eric was instantly the guy, and it came with a bonus. Eric knew Herbie Herbert, which is one of the founding fathers of the music biz as we know, put Journey together. He was in the Woodstock movie. He's on stage carrying Carlos Santana's amps. The guy's been around, and he's a very storied and legendary guy. So he ended up managing us, which is probably the most important thing business-wise that happened to us. And bang, we went off. We started writing songs. We got a deal with Atlantic, did our first record, toured with Rush, did pretty good. Then put the next record out, lean into it, and put out one single, nothing. Another single, nothing. Another single, nothing. So we're on tour with Rush again. I thought, well, we're going to probably have to go back home and try record number 3. And then out of nowhere, we got a call to some guy in Lincoln, Nebraska named John Terry, a DJ, was playing the song, and it was blowing up, the song "To Be With You." So we didn't even think about releasing that as a single. And sure enough, it took off and went all over the place, all by itself, organically. Became a hit record, 3 weeks #1 at Billboard, #1 MTV Video, #1 in 14 countries, and we were off and running. And I'm supremely grateful for this series of events.
That's awesome. That's so.
That is so awesome.
That's so rad. We got to take a quick second because we had a pop up. Mr. Joel. How are you, sir?
Sorry I'm late, guys.
No,
Late
not at all,
traffic,
man.
getting back from rehearsals, but glad to be able to join. Yeah.
No,
Guitarist extraordinaire. How are you, Joe?
I'm great, Billy. Great to see you, buddy. How are
Great
you,
to
man?
see you, man. I see your posts on Instagram. You're out there annihilating as usual. That's fantastic.
You know, not on your level, sir, but doing what I can.
And then I woke up.
We're so happy to have you, Joel. And we just want to pull you in real quick to a topic that we discussed right before you joined. We spoke a little bit and our own little personal little tributes to the recent news of losing Randy in the autograph camp. And we just wanted to extend that courtesy to you as well of any fond memories that you may have had when it came to Randy or just the autograph camp.
Just always a very nice dude, and obviously my condolences, and I can't say I have any extensive memories or detailed memories, but just always a great guy. So will be sorely missed.
No, absolutely, man, for sure. And we really appreciate you. Absolutely. 100%. Real quick, we'll give you a second as well to talk a little bit. You said you were coming back from rehearsals. So talk a little bit about how that's going with everything, because it's got to be very exciting as always, preparing for this big Whitesnake tour.
So we're getting ready to go on the farewell tour, which, nobody needs to be sad yet, because I think it should probably extend through 2023 to be able to hit all the territories that David wants to hit. But it's going great. We got Tommy Aldridge on drums, so another, legendary player, and Red Beach, my guitar partner. So some people that have been with the band for a long period of time. And we got a couple new members joining, Dino Jalusic on second keyboards and backing vocals, and helping David out here and there on some lines. And he's an amazing talent. And we have a great new bass player, Tanya O'Callahan, the first female member ever in Whitesnake history. But, she is a great fit in many regards. David really likes people that are great players and are interesting to watch on stage. And she is both of those things, certainly. So, great chemistry out of the gate. The band sounds great musically, and everybody's getting along. So you can't really ask for more than that.
Absolutely. 100% for sure. Real quick, before I bring in Bobby, Billy, I want to steer it back to you, because I had mentioned, last year, the four of us got to come down to Rock and Pod in Nashville. And a lot of musicians from the genre have seemed to migrate over towards Nashville, where originally, way back in the day, it was kind of like a West Coast swing where everybody was heading out there. Now it seems that people are making their way back towards East, and Nashville seems to be a very popular location when it comes to the rock and metal, and still very strong country city as well, in town. What was it for you? What drew you to Nashville?
Well, I got some dear friends here. Things were getting falling apart in LA a bit. I'm very sad to say. When I first went out there in '85, it was paradise. I mean, Sunset Strip every night was like Mardi Gras. It was mind-blowing. Bands everywhere. It's just not like that anymore. It's getting dangerous, and it's sad to see. I hope it turns around. I love LA. I love the people there, and it's sad to see. So we were looking to move out and get somewhere else, and I had some friends here. Ray Legier from Korn is here. He's a dear friend of mine. A bunch of guys. Billy Gibbons, I think, bought a house here. Tom Peterson from Cheap Trick is here. A bunch of guys. So a lot of rock. Who's that?
Nelson. Tommy Kiefer,
Yeah.
Nelson, everybody else is out there.
Yeah. I ran into those guys a couple times here and there too. So basically, I only need to be near an airport. And living in LA, you're always 2 hours from the airport in traffic. So I can get to the airport here in about 15 minutes.
What a great airport, too.
Oh, it's a fantastic airport. There's guitars on the walls and stuff. It's so cool. It's really Music City. Really, it's a wonderful situation. We're very, very happy to be here. Very thankful, and we're here also. But I can imagine a lot of the locals are a little tired of all these outsiders coming in. So we make it a point to let them know we're here to give, not to take. You know, we like to contribute to it, not take from it. You know, so anytime I get a chance to employ a local player or spend a little money in the town here, of course I do, because it is a great town and wonderful people. We're very happy to be here. It's been 4 years now. I miss my friends in LA. I miss Poquito Mas, the best Mexican food in the world in LA. But we're buying some tortillas and trying our own shot at it here. But we love it very much.
That's awesome, man. Fantastic. Bobby, it's all you, my man. Let's bring you in.
So I'm going to start with Billy, and then I'm going to Joel, and we're going to go hard and heavy. It's an episode that I started a while ago, but I got to bring it back. So, yeah. Billy, how good do you know your wood?
Say again?
How good do you know your wood?
How good do I
know your wood?
My instrument, you mean?
Well, I'm going to throw a couple bases out. Let's see if you can figure out whose they are.
Well,
So I just got this from a buddy of mine in Nashville who works at the Gibson Garage.
Oh, beautiful.
It's number 3. It's a prototype of a very well-distinguished gentleman of a 3-letter band. 4-letter. Well, we'll go 3.
Whose is it?
It's Gene's.
Oh, a 3. I thought you said a 3-letter band.
Oh, close enough. We won't count the second S.
I'm thinking it looks like Gene from Kiss, but that's 4 letters.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you remember what year was originally when he used the first Thunderbird?
Cool. That's pretty cool. Right on.
So you mentioned Pennsylvania, so we got to go with a PA guy.
There you go. It's an old jazz.
But okay, I live in Bucks County, so right above me is Norristown. So this is a guy who ripped the frets off.
Yeah. Jocko.
Nice.
Little Jocko.
Very cool.
And then
what else you got?
My T-shirt should say enough.
Right? Is that that's not a Fender Telly.
No, it's a Dougie. It's a Pinnock.
Oh, great.
So, but I'll go a little bit more here. Wait a second. So I got this. Well, this was a guy who used to be with Fender, but now he's with Warwick.
Nice. That looks well. A lot of pickups.
It's Stu's. Remember when he did the Urges?
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
So he did a bunch of these.
That's cool.
Let's go with this one. How about Walking This Way?
Nice. I like the color.
Yeah, this was Tom's.
That's is that those are Music Man, right?
No, it's a G&L. This is Hamilton's bass. This is Tom's.
Okay. But is that the same as the Music Man pickups?
No, these are the ones that he basically built off of the old Fender pickups.
Okay, I see.
And then you're gonna go that route. Well, you're a Yamaha guy, so you got
look at that. The TRB, yeah.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Little bit
I have a blue one. I have a blue one on the wall. It's the one I use for Just Take My Heart.
Really?
Yeah. I played a 6-string on that, oddly enough.
I love a 6. There's just something about it that just,
I'm a 4-string guy, but if I'm going to get confused, I might as well go all the way to 6.
yeah.
Why get halfway confused with a 5? Let's go all the way.
Look, if you're going to go 64, you got to go this.
Nice.
So you go a little bit McCartney. You got to do some flat wounds on it.
How cool.
Now I'm going to go into Joel's area. Joel, look, first thing first, why Les Paul? I heard you are not a Strat guy. You leave that crap to Reb Beach and, my buddy Adam Reaver, who does all the wankety wanks on it. But what made you gravitate to Paul's?
It took a while in my life. I mean, my main guitars, I grew up a kid in the 80s playing Floyd Rose guitars and playing Kramers and Jacksons and that stuff as a kid, and then being from Chicago, everybody was kind of playing a lot of blues and more, Americana kind of, you had to have your single coil game together with Tellys and Strats. And so that kind of became more of my main guitars once I moved away from the Floyd Rose shred thing. And then it just took me a long time because I used to always think, well, Les Pauls are always out of tune. What do I want with one of those? And then once I got up my first Les Paul, really is still my main guitar. It's in the background there. My Gold Top, it really, it just, I just think it's the best sounding guitar. And you might compromise a little bit of technique to play it. Might cut into it a bit, but it makes everything sound good. So all the way down to just, for me, just playing single note, chord arpeggios or chords, everything sounds better on the Les Paul to me. And it's just something that over the course of time just became something that anytime I'd go back to single coils, I go, no, I don't like that. It sounds too weak or hollow. And even clean stuff, I kind of prefer the sound of the humbuckers.
I'm going to throw it back to Billy real quick. Billy, who was the guy who made you pick up the bass?
Tim Bogert.
Really?
Oh, awesome.
Big. But actually, it's probably most likely more realistically Paul McCartney. When I saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan and all the girls screaming, I said, I got to have that job. That's my job. I got to do that. So, but Tim Bogert. Well, actually, even before Tim was Paul Samuel Smith from the Yardbirds, amazing player.
Wow.
And then Tim Bogert and Jack Bruce and Entwistle and all those guys.
And Joel, you look, I'm a little bit older than you, but who was the guy who made you gravitated to the Paul? Who was that Paul player who made you go, F yeah?
Nobody in particular, to be honest. I mean, Angus Young was my inspiration to play guitar, Back in Black in particular, hearing that record when I was a kid. My parents were classical musicians, so they had me going on cello and piano when I was really little. Yeah, I think in hopes that, one of us, either me or my sister, would become a classical virtuoso. And, I wasn't that inspired by it. But then I saw AC/DC. I don't know if you remember when MTV was first on and there was about 4 videos that were just played day round. And I saw Angus Young and thought, that's the coolest person I've ever seen in my life. I want to be that guy. So that made me really want to play. I can't say that there was ever a Les Paul player that made me want to play the Les Paul. It was more the sound of the instrument and the feel of the instrument itself that kept me there once I did get a Les Paul.
So, Joel, I'm going to throw it this way. I'm going to throw, same thing I did with Billy. I'm going to put a couple Pauls out right now. Let's see how good you are.
As far as whose guitar that is?
Of course. Pancake Body, Paul, number 3.
I'm not going to know, dude. I'm horrendous with this stuff.
Oh, my God, it's Petey's.
Okay. All right. I'm going to be terrible with it for sure. I'm a pretty horrible historian when it comes to knowing all this.
This isn't anybody's, but it was my mortgage. So this is my
beautiful.
This is my 59.
Beautiful. I love it. Yeah.
Beat to hell, and it's that thing. But one of the iconic ones I just picked up in Nashville. I picked this up from Mr. Chris Stapleton. So
nice. Wow.
Yeah,
beautiful.
And he did it for Music Cares, and he did a great job. But yeah, it's like you guys, I'm a player. I own a studio, but there's just something about instruments that I don't need drugs.
I don't either, man. Yeah, Les Pauls will do it. Slash came by rehearsals today. I'll name drop, and there's a great Les Paul player that came by.
Nice.
And really, the first time I got to meet him, which was cool. So
see, Joel, Bobby doesn't have children. That's why he has so many guitars. Just saying. I have kids, as you know, and that's why I have no guitars and I have no musical talent. That's why I do this show.
I've got a fair amount, but I think not crazy for.
Hey, Joel,
I've been doing this for a long time, and mine are all very played in. I've played all of mine a lot, so I don't know how much my collection's ever going to be worth because they're all kind of beat up.
Yeah, but they're good. So you talked about Slash. So look, I'm on the do things with the Gibson Garage. So they sent me one of Slash's number 4s.
Cool.
That he just did with Miles Kennedy.
Beautiful.
But this one, if you're not a fan of rock and roll and you don't know who this guy is, the only thing it doesn't do is smoke.
Yeah, that's got to be Ace. I know. I always thought that guitar. I saw Ace play at BB King's in New York. I had the pleasure of actually getting to play with Ace at one time at a benefit kind of thing where he came up with Night Ranger when I was with that band, and that guitar sounds amazing compared to his other guitars. He would swap out and he'd play his other Les Pauls, and that 3 pickup model that he has really sounds a lot better than his other guitars.
Talk about a guy who really influenced me. Look, I'm from Philly, and when I got to see this guy play at JFK, Peter always blew my mind. And I think that's what made me fall in love. He and Joe Perry and Ace were the 3 people who, and Jimmy, but it was really Peter. When I heard Frampton Comes Alive, I just kept going, wow, there's.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I'm yet to own one. I'd actually like to get a 3 pickup model. But there's a bunch of. I mean, you'd be surprised how many I have never owned and would like to still at this point. But I usually get mine out of necessity, like for whatever work I'm doing. And so with Whitesnake, I'm kind of set. I have my collection that's made for that gig and that band. And Trans-Siberian is very much about the visual. So I keep kind of adding these guitars that are kind of interesting to look at, like the Satriani Chrome Boy and things like that, and things that you take out on stage where people will go, wow, that's cool. And it's kind of part of the spectacle and the show. So like I said, my collection is it's very practical. It's kind of things that I use all the time. I don't tend to just, get something and let it sit around, but
Well, I have a studio here, so it's one of those things when people go, well, I'd like this, I'd like that. I'm like, dude, we can go through a Dumble, we can do this, we can do that. Billy, same thing, bass wise. And I got to ask you, what made you scallop the bass?
Well, we did a tour in summer of '85, Tallis Ingve tour, and I knew about scalloping because of John McLaughlin and the Mahavishnu Orchestra. He had a scallop Les Paul. And so I knew some people that had done some scalloping, but then we did a tour with Ingve, and he had scalloped his whole neck. I thought, well, it might be kind of cool to do some scalloping on the bass, but I don't want to do it down here and lose all that wood. So I just did the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 smaller frets here too. They're smaller, so a little tighter intonation. And I did it with my Dremel Moto tool on my original P bass back there in a hotel room, and I used a Sharpie to make it black. It's still there.
Well, so was it you and Steve? I mean, because Steve did the same thing on his Gems where he did it on the lower end. He didn't do a lot on the guitar.
Thanks, Scott. He did. He saw me do it, and he wanted to do it too. So I could go ahead, Steve. Go ahead. You can do it.
So, Joel, real quick, how funny is it? We have both of you on tonight, and both of you were in Whitesnake. Or, well, one is in Whitesnake, but how did all that come about? How did the thing with Coverdale?
Well, I mean, Doug and I were friends, and we were kind of texting, and he let me know that some news was coming, and I thought, I wonder if he's leaving the band, and I just woke up, I think the next day, and saw Eddie Trunk had tweeted it out, and I thought, that would be a gig that I would be really interested in. I'd been with Night Ranger a long time, and that was a great gig for me. I love those guys. I love, Brad and Jack, and owe a lot to them. Great experience. But I thought that's a catalog I would like to play, and the opportunity to work with David and Tommy. So, there was a lot of things that sounded very appealing. Whitesnake is a great international brand that has really carved out that they're touring around the world a little bit more, and so I thought, well, let me try and get an audition, and I sent some video links to Reb, and I didn't hear anything from David at first, and I thought, come on, man, I got to be able to get an audition at least. And so I thought, who do I know that would maybe know David? And I happened to think of Foreigner's manager Phil Carson. I had filled in for Mick Jones when we were on tour, and I thought, I bet Phil knows David. And sure enough, Phil was happy to reach out to David and recommended me and got me an audition. So I owe a lot to Phil Carson with that. And and then some of the people in the industry, Eddie Trunk was one of the people that kind of said to David, "Oh yeah, he'd be good. He'd be a good fit." And so, Brian Tishy, I think at that time when David spoke with him about me, and so, some people that were kind of people that David knew said, "Yeah, that would be a good fit." And the audition went really well. So I just kind of was the the early bird getting the worm. I was like, as soon as Doug left, I expressed interest and just tried to get an audition. And David and I still to this day just seem to do really well together. I mean, he's just been a fantastic boss and friend during my now it's like 8 years already I've been in the band, which is kind of amazing. So we just do really well together. He's a great guy.
Nice. Very, very cool. Angel, you've been incredibly patient, man. We appreciate you, my guy. Let's bring you in for a little bit. And how are the Metal Summoners, Billy and Joel's fans doing?
They're doing awesome, and just like them, I'm just enjoying the show, enjoying listening to two stories with Joe and Billy. Just want to say thank you for coming on the show. My question for Billy is, what's the latest on the Winery Dogs album? Is there anything you can say as far as when it'll be released or what it's sounding like? And how is it being back with those guys?
Oh, it's a blast. I love playing with Richie and Mike. We have a riot together. It's a 3-piece band, so things are much simpler. It's amazing how it gets twice as complicated if you add one more guy. It should only be 25% more complicated, but it's 150%.
It's exponentially more difficult.
Logarithmic curve.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoy playing with it very much. The record's, for the most part, done. I'm doing a couple little things on it, just to square it away, and it's going to get sent to the mixer soon, and it should be out. We're not sure. Releasing a record has been really wild during the pandemic. We delivered the record to the label for Talus, the new Talus album. And unfortunately, due to supply chain issues, they weren't able to get it on the schedule until later this year. But in the meantime, they put out a single, and there'll be a few more singles coming up. Similarly, with the Winery Dogs, it probably won't be. There'll probably be some single out by the fall, and we're expecting hopefully to tour maybe the end of this year and definitely next year. So I can't wait to go out. I love touring with the Winery Dogs. It's playing bass and drums with Mike Portnoy, and it's a riot. And we have been all over the world already too, so we've got a lot of places we can go back to, and very much looking forward to it. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, and Susan has a question for you. She wants to know, did you enjoy playing with Max Webster in Toronto?
Yes. A little unknown thing. I replaced Mike Tilka, their original bass player, went up in about 1978. And I rehearsed I think the whole Universal Juveniles record, or I think that was the one. And then they had a change of heart. So I went back to Buffalo and started another band. Then got back in Talus, went on from there. But I still always loved Max Webster. I'm in touch with Kim Mitchell often. When Talus played Battle Scar that Max Webster did with Rush, both bands played together on that one song. we always played that as one of our encore tunes. But it was a great experience. I love Toronto. Being in Buffalo, we're close to such a great city, so we used to play a club called the Gasworks. It's very famous. Everybody's played there. I'm trying to urge the people of Toronto to do a Gasworks festival and have all the old bands come out and play. It would be a cool thing. So that was a great experience.
And Candy Burton has a question for Joel. She wants to know: can you share your fondest memories of Tawny Katane?
Well, I don't have any memories of Tawny Katane other than the general public's memories. I mean, I've only been around for 8 years, so David and Tawny had divorced long before I came around. But obviously, in a weird way, I owe a lot of the success and things that I'm able to do to those video moments here in the States, at least. I mean, Whitesnake is really known for that in the U.S. Internationally, that Whitesnake's catalog is definitely more known. In the UK and in Europe, there's more of an appreciation for the past catalog, not just the Geffen records, but certainly the camera loved Tawny and her being a part of those videos is I think had a huge impact here in the US.
And Jeannie also has a question for you. She wants to know: I just love the song Iconic. Came out with Nowhere to Run. How much fun has this project been with the other 4 talented musicians?
Yeah, it's cool. It's something that Frontiers got together. They wanted to have a group of classic rock musicians surrounding Nathan James, who's a younger up-and-coming singer from the band Inglorious. And Nathan and I have been friends for a long time through Trans-Siberian Orchestra. And so I think, my name came in pretty quickly, and Michael Sweet and I have always wanted to work together. Michael's a great guy and a long time friend. And so we kind of took this opportunity. It wasn't what we had pictured doing together, having a different lead singer, but working with Michael's great. And of course, my bandmate Tommy Aldridge on drums was a bit of a surprise, actually. That kind of happened after the fact. I thought, yeah, I'll do this with Nathan and Michael. It'd be cool. Some guys that I know. And then they ended up saying, guess what? Tommy's going to play drums and Marco Mendoza is going to play bass. So we ended up getting a little bit of this Whitesnake flavor with the rhythm section. But it's great. I think the album comes out, I want to say it's June 17, if I have that correct. I don't have it in front of me, but the first single's up if people want to check it out, called Nowhere to Run on YouTube. And we had a great time making it.
Streamed over 150,000 views in the first 2 days. So, congrats.
Yeah, thanks. Michael's got a strong following, great social media presence, and I think we've all tried to do our part and try to promote it a bit and get it some legs. And we're hoping the album does well. It's cool. It's pretty much what people would expect from an album of classic rock, like 80s musicians. It's an 80s throwback sounding record but obviously nowadays you say that, but then you listen to the production and it obviously sounds very 2020s. I mean, it's 80s rock presented in 2022 as a lot of the stuff, but it's straight ahead. There's not going to be any prog rock happening on there or anything like that. We're not trying to do anything other than just deliver a solid rock record.
Sweet.
Nice. Very, very cool, man, for sure. Go ahead, Angel.
And my question is, when you're out touring, what's the best thing you like to do after a show to cool down?
Is that for myself or for Billy?
Yep. That's for you.
I'm just a very boring, normal guy off the stage, man. I like movies and I like sports. I follow basketball and baseball. Those are my 2 favorites. And I actually really enjoy playing basketball too. I have to be careful with that a lot of times when I'm on the road, not to, play too physically and worry about my hands. And, but those are my hobbies outside of guitar.
Nice. Super duper cool for sure. So Joel, I wanted to kick it to you real quick for this because first of all, I wanted to tell you congratulations on Running Games with your newest solo record coming out.
Thank you.
So congratulations on that. But I really quick wanted to actually kick it back to your previous album, Dying to Live, because I actually kind of wanted to ask you about the song Until I Left You, just because I really, really love it. And I wanted you to maybe talk a little bit about it.
Thanks. I mean, that's something that I had around as a hook for a while, and I wasn't sure it was going to fit the record. Actually, initially, that record ended up having quite a scope of songs if you include the bonus track. I mean, there was a really, really heavy bonus track called "Kill or Be Killed," and then it went all the way to kind of this, melodic rock like Until I Left You that you're mentioning and referencing. But as it signed with Frontiers and Just Scott Soto was singing on some of it as well. And, that material seemed to, I had enough faith to kind of, to throw that song into the mix and see if it would work out. But thank you. I appreciate that very much.
No, absolutely, for sure. And Billy, for you real quick, because we were doing a lot of talking about gear with Bobby's last segment. I just wanted to ask you, because we talked so much with Joel about like what it was about Les Pauls. What about you with like Yamaha? Like what was it about like their fit, their feel, their style that has kept you with them for so long?
Well, I played my P bass into the ground, and around 1983 or 4, I was looking for something else because I knew it wasn't going to last much longer. The body's got a little crack in it, and it's been beaten senseless for thousands of gigs, literally. So Yamaha came to me, and I'd known about them from Pro Audio, and I know their quality control was second to none. So we went through a few different iterations of versions of basses until we finally came up with the Attitude, which is very much like a P bass, only all the changes I did to my P bass, they did them correctly on this. Instead of with a screwdriver as a chisel, they use an actual router. So it's just a rock solid bass, and a lot of engineers, when I would go into a studio, say that's the best sounding P bass I've heard in years. At the time, unfortunately, in the mid '80s, Fender was not in a good position. Their stuff wasn't all that good. Yeah. It's right up to speed now. They're great again, as I'm glad to see. So at that time, I looked elsewhere, and Yamaha was right there for me, and I've been with them now since 1984. So wow. It's a long ass time.
And it's a stereo instrument, is it not? Don't you run stereo out of that bass?
It's kind of a deceiving, and there's 2 outputs, but it's not right left.
Okay.
It's high and low. One's a low pickup with the other high pickup with through 2 different amps, and it spreads the frequencies apart and sounds as unique sound to all the alembic basses. They were dual output. The Rickenbacker basses have Rickless sound. That's a dual output. Same thing.
Okay. All right. Cool.
I think Paul Samuel Smith also had his jazz bass with 2 pickups running into 2 amps. Similar thing. So it was a common solution for being able to get a really wide-ranging tone. Since the early days of Talus, I played with a 3-piece band. I had to make up for lack of keyboard or rhythm guitar, so that helped to have the 2 amp situation. So I rest my case, Your Honor.
That's good to know, man. I was wondering what the deal was with the 2 outputs on there. So yeah.
Plus, people kind of hear with their eyes, and back in the old days, they see 2 chords coming on a bass. Oh my God, 2 chords! That's so twice as powerful. It really doesn't, it doesn't really matter. I play with 1 chord too sometimes, but it's just it's a thing. But it works out really well, and I'm very thankful that Yamaha has kept me around all this time.
Nice. But this goes to 11.
It goes to 11.
Psycho Steve, it's all you, bro.
All right, this is a question for the both of you. Billy, what is your favorite Mr. Big song? Joel, what is your favorite Whitesnake song?
Ooh, boy, let's see. Well, I believe it or not, I still love To Be With You. It's such a charming, sweet little song, and changed my life, changed all of our lives, having a hit single. But there was a song called Promise of the Moon, I think off the 3rd record, off the Pump Ahead record. Pretty great song, and unfortunately we're in a situation then that people kind of already were done with us, so if we would put out the greatest song in the world, they don't care anymore. We're moving on to some other band. So, but we had a couple of good songs on that record, and the next record too, Hey Man, that I would have liked to see get some attention. But Promise of the Moon was a pretty cool piece. What about you, Joel?
You know, I can't say I necessarily have a favorite. I always say I'm really lucky to be playing the Whitesnake catalog is amazing. You know, when we did the Greatest Hits tour in 2016, I have to say that's the best set list I'll ever play. I mean, it was like every single song was like, I love this one. This is my favorite to play. And then, you know, until you get to the next song and you say the same thing again. So it's really great to be able to play anywhere from kind of the blues-based rock to some of the commercial sounding rock that Whitesnake has, all the way down to the, you know, Zeppelin-y kind of open tuning stuff. Like I loved playing Forevermore that Doug Aldrich wrote, you know, and basically Dad Gad and playing that acoustic stuff, finger style. And, you know, that stuff is fun for me. There's just a lot of fun stuff, you know, playing the slide stuff on Slow and Easy. There's a lot of stuff that I really, really enjoy playing in the Whitesnake catalog. So it's really hard for me to pick one.
Right on. Keep rolling with it, Steve.
How about a favorite Night Ranger song? And how about a favorite Winery's dog song?
Time Machine is a riot to play. I love that song. I'm No Angel too. It's hard to pick. I got a lot of favorites with the Winery Dogs. I'm No Angel, but Time Machine is a riot to play live because we jam on it pretty heavy, and it's a chaos, a beautiful chaos in a way. I enjoy it very much. Thanks.
I think for me, my favorite when I in my time with Night Ranger was to play Sister Christian, just because that was the one that the whole audience would sing. And even though I didn't have the guitar solo, it was Brad's great lyrical guitar solo in that song. And even though people would bum out that if it was a ballad and they want me to say, "Don't tell me you love me" or something like that, it was just, hey, you know, as Billy knows, but To Be With You, that's just an amazing moment when you're on stage and you hear thousands of people singing a song or singing a refrain. And it's something that feels magical and you feel, you know, honored to be a part of. So that was always a favorite moment for me with Night Ranger, was playing that song, just because it just, you know, people related to it and just sang. The hook was almost bigger than the song itself. People, you know, they know Motorin more than they know Sister Christian. You'd say, hey, you know, this is Sister Christian, you know, Motorin. Oh yeah, I remember. So anyway, but I enjoyed playing that with them.
Nice. Do you still have the flag guitar that you used to bust out for We'll Still Rockin' America?
Yes, I do.
Nice.
Yeah, I still have it. Yeah.
That's awesome. Bobby, let's kick it to you and bring you back, bro.
So I'm going to do a couple things right now. Joel, look, the album you did with Trans-Siberian, you know, Dreams of Fireflies, great. So let me go Aftermath. Right now, Amy Lee. And I guess that would be with, you know, how did all this stuff come about, Billy?
Well, how did what come about?
Aftermath, you did the song with Amy Lee from Evanescence.
Well, I think you're asking that question would go to me.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Joel.
But
yeah, it was to you. Well,
no, I mean that's just right. My friend Dave Egger, who's an amazing cellist in the New York City area, I had him play on my acoustic record, and he has a great relationship with Amy and did a lot of string arrangements for Evanescence, and was working with her on a film score.
Yeah.
And so anyway, they basically just wanted me to replace the guitar track. I think somebody had played on it. It wasn't quite the right thing. And so I got the call and went in, and Amy's great. She's, you know, an amazing musician, great, friendly person. I went in and did the session, and you know, she's still a friend of this day. I love that whole camp. Evanescence is you know, great bunch of people, but you know, that's just a credit of literally one song. And then she ended up putting it on her solo record. And so, you know, but there's not much of an actual like collaboration history there with the two of us, but we're friends. She's great. We have the same birthday too. She's a birthday sister of mine. So
Billy, Aftershocks is really what I was going after with you. So you know, I wanted to go on that 2014 when you worked on that collab there. That's, my brain got confused on that one. So when you did that whole the Aftershocks album.
is it?
Yeah, it's for Billy. How'd you come about with that for that
What
collaboration?
album is that?
Aftershocks.
I don't know.
So one you put out in 2014.
I have no idea what Aftershocks is. A lot of sometimes fans come up. Joel, I bet this happens to you.
Oh my God, no! It's for you.
They got a pile of.
That's funny.
They got
You
a
did
pile
it
of
with the
CDs.
Czech composer back then.
Say again.
It was a composer. I was in Czechoslovakia, and I remember seeing your name on it. I can't even pronounce the guy's last name.
The Michael Kosab
Yeah.
collaboration is the one he's referring to. But you have a massive catalog, Billy, so I definitely understand. But
Billy's played on an awful lot of material, man.
Yeah.
The check's in the mail.
He was a political activist back, in the Czech Republic, and you did a collab. He was a composer back then.
It could be. I think I recall the name, but we've been, especially this year, I've played about 300 different artists doing tracks, and it's hard to keep track of them sometimes.
I'm just glad Billy remembers me, man. I'm like, hey, he remembered who I am. That's good.
But it happens a lot. We'll be out after a show, and I always go out by the bus and take pictures and sign and hang out with people as wonderful fans, and I love them very much. And somebody always have a pile of CD covers like this, and I'll be going through them, signing them. I go, "What's this?" He goes, "Did I plan this?" And I go, "Yeah, your name's in there." I open up, yeah, there it is. I have no idea. Sorry.
No worries, man. Stay with it, Bobby. It's all good.
No, I'm good.
No worries, man. Angel, we'll kick it to you, man.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
Bobby does something and then always goes back up to me. All right. I have a question from Lisa. She wants to know any memories of recording the song "To Be With You."
Yeah, we did it at Fantasy Studios in Berkeley, California, and that's where a lot of the Journey stuff was done there. A lot of Creedence Clearwater was done there. Quite an iconic studio, pretty amazing. And our producer was Kevin Elson. Kevin was worked with Leonard Skinner since he grew up with them, and he was actually on the plane that crashed and survived, and he began to work with Herbie Herbert, Mr. Big Manager, because Herbie said to him one time when Journey was opening up for Skinner, said to Kevin, who was their front of house mixer, also said, "Hey, you're so great, man. If you ever need a gig, you just let me know." So Kevin showed up at Herbie's office on crutches after the accident, and Herbie put him to work right away, and he had him produce Journey right away, and we were the lucky ones. We got him next. So Kevin was our producer for that record, and he was just a wonderful producer, and we didn't quite know what to do with "To Be With You," and he said, "Well, just play it on guitar and sing it." Okay, so that was good advice on his part, and we just all sat around, and the whole song was kind of intended as the credits roll at the end of the movie. The song is playing. We didn't think of it as a hit single, or if we would have known it was a hit, we would have released it first. So, and then it took off on its own, and we still. I'll get an email from somebody almost every day. I was in the store the other day, and they're playing "To Be With You" on the sound system. So, but it was a pretty straight ahead thing. We just Berkeley Fantasy Studios laid it down, and most of everything we did then was live too, pretty much live. Wasn't a lot of Pro Tools cutting and pasting. We actually had to go in and play it, which is pretty cool.
And Jeannie wants to know, do you have any plans to tour this year?
Me?
Yep.
No plans yet. I'm hoping to have something happen towards the end of this year, but nothing yet. Things are still pretty closed down as far as international travel goes. It's tight. There's a lot of restrictions. I know some bands that have gone over to Europe and one of the crew guys tests positive, and the whole thing comes to a halt, and it can be very precarious financially if something happens, because you got to stop everything, and it costs a lot of money to start up a tour. So if it can't go through to the end, it can be a financial catastrophe. So most of the bands I'm involved with are holding off for a little while longer until things settle out, and hopefully everybody will be healthy and all things will come back together again.
And Susan has a question for both Joe and Billy. She wants to know, hold on one second. Have you ever, or would you like to play with Raiding the Rock Vault?
Yeah. I mean, I'm one of those people that loves to fill my time playing gigs or doing sessions rather than one way or another I'm going to be playing my guitar. So I like to find those real world applications where I'm actually playing music and not necessarily just working on a lick for YouTube or something like that. Not to I guess not to throw any shade at people that do that, but I mean I just like to stay productive. And so, yeah, in a heartbeat, if I didn't have anything booked during a period of time and they needed a guitar player over there, sure, I'm in.
What is Raiding the Vault?
It's a Vegas, I don't even know how you describe it at this point. It started out a little bit more as a theater piece, but I think as it moved, it sort of evolved into just sort of like a walk through the generations of music. So they kind of start out playing like Who songs and things like that. But Howard Leese does it, and Doug Aldrich did it for a long period of time. And there's always, it's kind of a revolving door of players in there. But yeah, I totally do it.
Robin McCauley,
Paul
Sorrentino.
Yep.
Cool. Sounds cool. I didn't know about it, but I was back in so many cover bands back in the 70s that I can generally whip out about 100 to 150 songs or some variation on a theme at least. So we used to play Stump the Band all the time, get a guitar and say, this one, and lay down some Everly Brothers or Bebop Deluxe or some obscure band. Alrighty.
Okay, my question to both of you is, before the tour starts, how do you decide which bass or which guitar to take with you out on the road?
Billy?
Well, what I'm playing, this is generally my main thing, these Attitude basses. Sons of Apollo, I need the double neck because I need the lower tuning, like the B tuning. Winery Dogs, I have a wine-colored bass made of plexiglass, which weighs a ton, as does the double neck. I always say about my double neck, my chiropractor loves that bass.
Nice.
Well, with Whitesnake, I had guitars made for the gig. So I have a couple of Gibson Customs that I use that have the Whitesnake medallion set in them and the snake stencil. And Fender did the same for me with the medallions, with the humbucker in the bridge, which I use here and there. And then Atomic Guitar Works made that Swarovski crystal covered one with the WS logo on it. So I like having guitars separate for each thing that I do rather than taking an instrument and showing up with it on the same gig all the time. So I try to have a little bit of separation. And like I said earlier, TSO that's become very much about the visual, taking out the guitars that are interesting to look at, that still sound good and play good, obviously, but that can be part of the production, part of the spectacle of it. So it really depends on what gig I'm doing, but in general, I'm a Les Paul player, as we spoke about earlier. I mean, that's definitely my favorite and where I feel the most at home.
Hey, Joel, I was just thinking, what you mentioned a couple times about visual. I don't have a connection to this company at all, but there's a company called the Electrical Guitar Company. I think they're in Georgia, and they make all aluminum instruments, and wow, they are spectacular. The Electrical Guitar Company. Look them up online. They make some amazing stuff.
I will. I'll check them out.
Very shiny.
I think Bobby just went in the other room to get his one. He has one.
I got something to show Joel. So this was a guy years ago at NAMM I ran into, he made all his guitars out of DeLorean parts.
Oh wow.
Hold on
That's
one
wild.
second so I can shine on it. Hold on 1 second, Bobby.
Shine on it, Angel.
Shine.
So
Yeah, wild.
so, yeah, I was at Winter NAMM probably about 10 years ago. It's gelati. He was not that you would eat it, but it's a purple thing. The funny part is Badamasa came over. We were, I was endorsed by Moody Leather, and Joe came over and goes, I want that. And I'm like, nope, sorry, mine.
Nice.
But yeah, it's the back end of a DeLorean.
Wow. And it's a hollow body, so it's got a little white powder in there, right?
Bobby.
Sorry.
Hey guys, I'm sorry to break it to you, but I have starting at this time here. I'm actually teaching a couple lessons.
Okay.
So I got to jump.
No problem.
Apologies.
Joe, real quick,
I didn't
your
really know
relationship with Chris.
how long
we
we
didn't
were
get
going
to
to
throw
do
that
this.
in. If you could give us 2 seconds of that, you and Chris Caffrey.
Oh yeah. So you wanted to just
How did all that come about? How did that, we talked White Snake, but I really want to go TSO right there real quick.
Yeah, Trans-Siberian for me was Alex Skolnick needed to take a year off to tour with his jazz trio that he was starting up, and I had a couple friends in the band, and just they recommended me, and I auditioned. It's a very kind of standard story. First, I auditioned with Al Petrelli as the music director of the group, and then once that was passed, so to speak, then I got to audition for Paul O'Neill, the owner and founder. And that went well, and I was offered the gig, and it was a scary moment because at that time I had Rock of Ages on Broadway and was playing with Night Ranger, so I already had 2 gigs, and I thought, well, how am I going to fit this in? It's going to be the first moment where I'm going to have to sub out of Night Ranger, which felt scary to me, and I didn't know if they were going to be accepting of that. But thankfully, Brad had my back and was very cool with me having November and December off from the group to go pursue Trans-Siberian Orchestra and to be able to headline arenas and get out there with Chris, and still a great experience. And here I am 12 years later, still a part of that group. So it's been a very important part of my life, and something I'm blessed to be part of. It's an incredible production, and at this point, really, despite the magnitude of it and how many people are involved, feels like a huge family to me because I've been there so long that we just have a great relationship with everybody there. And Chris is definitely part of that. He's one of the people that I'm primarily in touch with. Chris and I text all the time. And
he's family to us. And I got to see you at Hershey this year when you were there, and you were amazing.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, I think that's very much about the show. It's very much about the production. You kind of have to set ego aside and realize that it's not about any individual when you're a part of Trans-Siberian Orchestra. That it's about Trans-Siberian Orchestra. It's about the production, the event itself. As long as you can wrap your head around that, then you can hang in there and do it. And for me, it's been a wonderful thing to have that opportunity every November, December to it's pretty ridiculous to think you fill an arena twice a day. And you realize, like, wow, we played for 30,000 people today, and we're going to do that tomorrow in a different city. I mean, it's not many things where you're able to do that with hard rock these days. So it's a great opportunity, I think, for me at least. I think the more time you spend playing, the better you get. And it's a lot of hard work doing that tour, but labor of love and helps make me a better musician in the end.
Oh, we love you. Thank you for
Joel. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys, for having me on. I'm really sorry
to have you back on.
One, that I was late, and now that I have to go. But
not
I
a
didn't really
problem.
know the time exactly of this. So
make sure that you're following Joel on all of his socials, like joelhoekstra.com. Is that correct, Joel?
Yeah, it's a great place to start, and you can link over to everything from there. Yes.
Absolutely. Take care, Joel. We'll definitely have you back
Thank
on
you,
so we
Joel.
can talk about Rock of Ages and a bunch of other stuff. But get on with your night, brother, and thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate your time. Billy, it's great to see you again, brother.
Thank you.
Take care, Joel. Great to see you, bro.
Cheers.
Cheers. Fans, we definitely got a little bit more time, but it is last call for alcohol,
That's
guys.
right.
So any final questions or comments that you want to get in to ask Billy, now's your time to do it. We definitely have some more segments, but get those questions in now. So if you want to ask it, we can get it answered for you. Billy, I wanted to ask you a little bit about your solo stuff with like Compression and like Cosmic Troubadour. When you were doing like your solo albums, what was just kind of the way that you thought about it for the albums? Like some people like to do their solo albums where it's those musical like that kind of style that is different from like the main gig. What was it that you wanted to do with yours?
Well, I'm mostly a band guy, so I don't do the solo thing. I took a little left turn there, and a friend of mine gave me a baritone guitar, which is it's tuned much lower than a regular guitar, and I have a low voice, so I thought, man, I could sing with this thing all day because I had to try to hit those high notes, and so that helped a lot, and that inspired me to start it, and I was lucky to get a lot of great players to join me. On the first record, I had Terry Bozzio and Steve Vai, and Paul Gilbert, too. I think he was on that as well. And the second one was just mostly me and Ray Lugier. And then the third one, Billy Gibbons came to my house and played a solo on my little record. It was pretty cool. And Doug Pinnick sang a track on that. And killed. It was amazing. So I got a chance to play some great people and just do some songs that I've been working on the baritone guitar. And I'm going to do another one pretty soon.
Nice.
And who knows what it's going to be. Roll the dice. And I very rarely have a plan. I'm on a rudderless ship on a windless sea, and I go where it takes me, and we'll see what happens.
That's awesome, man, for sure. And another thing that I definitely wanted to ask you about real quick is I'd love to have you talk a little bit about just like your experiences in like Japan, because metal and rock music in other countries is very different than the way it's perceived and executed when it comes to the States, where Mr. Big is just a monster act in Japan and in Europe, where it differs in the States with the way, like I said, rock and metal music is executed. You know, you've got guys like Marty Friedman, who now live in Japan, you know, after 10 years with his previous bands. But talk to us about Japan and just getting to go over there and how rock and metal is done and responded to there.
Well, we're very fortunate to have a great situation there. We started in Japan early on, Mr. Big career. I actually went before, was playing the Mr. Big demo over the sound system for Yamaha bass clinics that I did over there. And the first ones I did were in like a 3,000 seater. I remember thinking, when I was backstage, I go, what are they going to rope off half the arena and fill it? I go, no, it's sold out. And I go, holy cow, I better start practicing here because it's a high pressure bass clinic in front of 3,000 people at NHK Hall. It's pretty cool. But so we started off on a good note, and but it gets a little cliche sometimes. People think it's all about Japan, where in Italy at one point there were 3 Mr. Big copy bands playing around Italy. We in Brazil we had 100,000 people on a beach, and it was Santos Beach outside of Sao Paulo. Many other places outside of Japan in Asia, because people get the idea Asia is one thing. Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia. I get more email from Indonesia than anywhere. We played places no Western band ever played in Indonesia. The Philippines, all over the place. So people tend to focus on the Japan thing, but we were very fortunate to develop a lot of international connections early on. But having said that, Japan has been quite a phenomenon. I've been there, I think, over 60 times through the years now, and we've done probably 320, 340 Mr. Big shows there over the years. A lot of shows, and just incredible people, wonderful folks. We played there when they had the earthquake in 2013, and right after the quake, we everybody canceled, and we said, well, let's go anyway. So we did, even though it might have been a little dangerous, we went. We raised about $250,000 for the Red Cross for them, and the people were very pleased to see life start to get back to normal after such a horrible catastrophe. So we have a great relationship with those people, and but they're very fine tuned. you'd have a show and like about the first quarter of the show wasn't quite together, and then things came together. And this fan said, "Yeah, we noticed about the first part of the show wasn't quite together," where most other people may not know. They watch you like a hawk. They're just wonderful people, and we're very, very pleased to have that many friends all over South America, all over Europe, all over the place. I get email from Iraq and Afghanistan and Pakistan and all kinds of exotic places. We played India at one point with Mr. Big. That was a mind-blowing thing. So I recommend everybody at one point have an international number one hit. It will change your life. It's a passport to the world. Pretty amazing thing. We're all of us at Mr. Big are very grateful.
Absolutely, for sure. Before I kick it over to Steve, just because when you mentioned like an international hit, was there anything about that song that kind of cued to you guys when you were recording it or doing it or making the video that was like, we really have something here? Or was it just that it took legs and took off? Was there anything that you guys noticed at the time? We
were clueless. We thought Green Tin is 60 Mile, that could be a hit. Wasn't. But what about that? Nope. What about Alive and Kicking? Nope, didn't happen. And now we play those songs and they get a response, just a great response, because that record itself did so well. We just had a 30-year anniversary, colored vinyl versions come out and all that recently. But yeah, we didn't have a clue. We loved the song instantly. It was on a cassette of songs that Eric gave us that he had been working on. And it was kind of last. And we said to him, "Hey, that song at the end, what song?" The song, because originally done on piano, the piano song, "To Be With You." He goes, "I don't know." I said, "No, we should do it." He goes, so we actually had to kind of talk him into it. I think he's glad we did. And so we put it on there, and an amazing phenomenon. Pretty great.
So awesome, for sure, man. Psycho Steve, it's right back up to you, my man.
All right, piggyback off the whole Mr. Big thing. Like we talked about before the show started, about you touring with Rush twice. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any stories that you could share with actually before, because you had a sound check? Did you have a chance to play with Neil or any of the guys?
Yeah, we did. We were playing in San Diego, having played in LA the night before, I think. We're 2 nights sold out of the Forum in LA. And, so we're down to sound check in San Diego, and Getty was stuck in traffic. So I was just walking around the arena. I might have even been on a bike, just a bike you could ride a bike around the arena because it's so big. I said, Billy, come here a minute. What do you want? What do you want? He goes, "Can you play Getty's bass?" I go, "Yeah, I will." He goes, he's not going to make the sound check. Could you do sound check with us? So I said, "Yeah, okay." So I got up with Alex and Neil, and we played. And unknown to me, the guy at the soundboard hit record, and they recorded the whole thing. Wow. So you can find it on YouTube, and it's pretty cool. Getty's bass sounded like Getty's bass too. It was pretty cool. And of course, Neil is a grandmaster, and all those guys are the nicest people you could imagine. They were so generous to us, and they came up and did the encore with them. It's so great. I know how loved they are by so many people, and I want to assure everybody, because sometimes you find out the real truth afterwards that somebody was a jerk or something like that. But man, the guys in Rush were the sweetest, most generous, coolest people, just givers, and it was a joy to be around them all the time. So I'm very happy to report that about those guys. They're just incredible people, and we owe them a great, great deal because they really helped us break in America. Mr. Big was a lot of our success is due to doing a tour like that, and we're very grateful to them.
Sweet.
It was cool.
Very cool.
Everyone should have a number one hit, and everyone should have a chance to open for Rush. And unfortunately, that won't happen anymore. But boy, that happened to us. We consider ourselves supremely lucky.
Well, you don't think Mike can fill in for Neil? He's filled in for AJ Caro.
Mike already knows the songs too, so he's always.
I know. There's not one song I can't think that Mike doesn't know, or a band that he hasn't played with.
He's quite a Beatles trivia expert too. He knows, what the
Beatles, huh?
which ones were red vinyl or mono, or what Ringo's mom's name is. He knows all that stuff. It's amazing.
We'll have to keep that in mind for a segment on a future episode, perhaps.
Yeah, you should have him on and see if you can stump Mike Portnoy with Beatles trivia. Good luck on that. I think he's going to beat all of you pretty badly.
Stump the Portnoy. Bobby, let's bring you back in, bro.
So, two things. You played with Mr. Gilberto, as you can see. These were only issued in Japan. They only did a limited number, and it was the year he did Get Out of My Yard, and you guys did The Who's Baba O'Reilly, which blew my doors off.
Yeah, we did that, and I had to do the violin solo at the end on the bass. That was a lot of fun.
Incredible. So let's talk about your double neck for a minute.
You got it right here.
Oh, let's see that.
I just looked on Reverb. There's a purple Billy Sheehan double neck for sale.
It's in the other room. It's not for sale.
Oh, somebody's got a knockoff right here. First, RBX double neck.
Oh, I'll look, because I have. There's only one made, and I got it. It's in the other room.
Oh, okay. Some guy in Michigan, in Massachusetts, selling your double neck.
Yeah, it's not mine, because I just had it refurbished by Corner Music here in Nashville, and I had sold it once years ago, but I told the guy, if you ever sell it, let me know so I can buy it back from you, and I did, and I've had it ever since then. That was my first Yamaha double neck. So whatever's on Reverb might be a copy of it, but it's not.
I don't know. It says on the back, my first double neck on the back of the body.
No.
Oh, good. You better go check. Somebody's like screwing you over, Billy.
Well, I can't stop him from making a guitar that looks like one of mine and selling it.
No, but it's got your.
If they say that it was mine, I can't stop for that either. But I just give a caveat to anyone buying something like that. Most people, bass players are a pretty tight community. So if some oddball bass comes up and says, "Is this yours?" I go, "No, that wasn't one of mine." So, but we're a pretty good tight community, the bass players.
Let's talk about your double neck here. So how did all this come about?
Well, I don't remember. I just thought Yamaha, in my deal, they're going to make me a couple custom basses. So I go, make me a double neck. Okay. I didn't even know how I was going to string it. Now it's strung low strings and high strings too. It's a regular bass and then a low bass. And it works out great for Sons of Apollo because most everything is tuned in that low tuning. And, but it'd be really tough to do a solo on these strings. Though I have done it. But this is a more regular bass up here. But it's just a beautiful instrument. It's all pearl and shiny and nice, and a beautiful figured maple on there. Yamaha is just spectacular. So I'm very, very pleased with this instrument, and it plays.
Before I throw it back to Jay, you brought up a gentleman who's a good friend of the show, great friend of. Yeah, I've known him for 30-something years, Mr. Doug Pinnick.
Oh yeah.
Dougie, Tom Peterson, and there's only a rare few who play 8 and 12 string bass, and Doug brought it at. Look, I got a couple things. I got Tom Peterson's 12.
Wow, that's a cool one.
It's amazing because everything you play on it sounds like you just wrote a song.
Oh,
how many strings is that one?
It's 12 string.
12 string. Wow, that's what it looks like.
So this was Chips, which Tom gave him.
Oh, hold on 1 second. I was just admiring the 12-string bass.
Oh, nice.
And as you can see, Chippy signed it for me. So, but it's the Waterstone. But sounds like Pearl Jam every time you play it. But I hear Jeremy every time you play this thing. But what's your feeling on that? I mean, Doug, what an iconic bass player. Look, King's X, there'll never be anybody like Peterson. There'll never be anybody like that. So Chip, too. Chip's another one who's an alum of the show. Wow.
Yeah, Hamer made a 12-string bass for me back in the 80s, and I gave it to Chip, and I think he gave it to Will Lee.
Really?
So I should call Will and say, Will, you still got that? I'd like to get it back someday. But yeah, it's a pretty cool instrument. Doug Pinnick's one of my favorite human beings. King's X, one of my favorite bands, and Doug's voice and bass are truly an American treasure.
Look, before Jay gets it, look, you guys, everything you did with Tallis and everything, but Mr. Big, really, you guys had great ballads, but you had so many kick-ass songs. It was that whole thing, the chemistry. Talk about, before I throw it back, Pat. And, look, we didn't mention him enough in the show. And,
Well, Pat was, when you lose a band member like that, it's, for us in Mr. Big, we went out, we used Matt Starr on drums. He's a great drummer, a wonderful guy, sings great too. Certainly comparable to Pat in many ways, but he's not Pat. And it's just kind of, Mr. Big was kind of a signature sound and thing. And without him, we didn't know if we wanted to continue any further. It's we may play together sometime, maybe, but we have no plans at this point. Pretty hard to replace Pat. I think any one of us. At one point, Paul left the band, and Richie Costa came in, which was really cool. I think Richie had a great thing, but it wasn't the original band. And as a fan, as much as I love Richie, I am a fan of so many other bands. When one guy changes, it's not the same for me anymore. It's been like that for years. Anytime, of course, sometimes someone passes away, you've got no choice. In the case of AC/DC and several other situations, but and I love both versions of AC/DC, but whenever you change a member, it makes it different for me. So I know now how serious it is for the band members when we lose somebody like that. And Pat was just a righteous, wonderful soul, the voice of reason, just great player. And we were quite devastated as so many others. And we want to keep his legacy alive. So we wouldn't go, we wouldn't just, sadly, a lot of bands have to go out when they have to change members. And sometimes the only thing original about the band is the logo, but I know they got to work, and I don't fault anyone for doing that. They got to play, and they want to play, and they should continue. But with Mr. Big, it was a little different for us. We just were of the state of mind that we.
So you can have the whole Robert and that they lost Boston.
Say again.
When they lost John and the drummer, basically the heartbeat of the band is gone. How do you carry on?
For me, as a bass player, it's all about the drums. I go see a band, the first thing I watch is the drummer. And if he's happy, I see who else is on the stage. The band is built sound check drums first, recording drums first, as the drums are the true thing that you build everything up from sonically. And so it has a lot to do with the drummer personality too. They got a lot of the band. The drummer drives the band. That's how it works. So when you lose your driver, you can get lost pretty easy. So we
wanted to pay tribute to Pat, and thank you for bringing allowing us to talk about him and everything there. So Jay, I'm going to go to you, brother.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Billy, something a little bit off music that I wanted to ask you about, just because it deals with part of my other profession and the fact that I enjoy it very much myself, is, from my understanding, you're quite the wine guy from what I understand. Is there just to have a little bit of fun with us? Is there a particular style that you like, that you find is what you prefer if you're kicking back with a glass? Because I'm actually kind of a wine guy myself.
I'm mostly reds. Malbecs are nice. I'm lucky to have some dear friends that know a lot about it, because I don't know that much. so I can rely on them to steer me in the right direction. One particular friend we're going to visit this weekend, he's into a lot of French wines, and I remember I posted a photo of one of the bottles on Facebook, Instagram that we were drinking, and people were coming. Do you have any idea what that is? Apparently it was a very, very expensive bottle of wine. He's very, very well-to-do, successful lawyer, so he can afford things of that nature. For me, a case of Alamos Malbec from Costco that'll hold me for a couple of weeks. Nice. But I'm not so much a snobby, or well versed in the characteristics of several wines. I just know what I like.
Sure.
And I've even committed the sin of putting ice in red wine once in a while. I catch heat for that when I make sure if there's ice in my wine, I don't let the glass be in the photo, because I know there's going to be some death threats from that. But I'm pretty casual on it. But I do like the red, and my wife's from Italy, so when we first together, we spent a lot of time there and had some incredible wines there. The Italian wines I tend to gravitate towards, probably because of her.
Sure. No, that's super duper cool. I'm a reds person myself. I got nothing against wines, and I'll whites, and I'll have it periodically when it's necessary or if I'm in the mood. But reds have always been my thing. I tend to more like them a bit more stiffer myself. I kind of like the grapes to have like more bullocks behind them. I really like kind of like heavy, like, stiffer type reds, like really like solid Cabernets. I'm a big fan of. I like the Josh Cab company quite a bit. I recently started getting into the Z. Alexander Brown company, which is owned by the Zach Brown Band.
I jammed with them at the Bridgestone Arena.
What's up?
I jammed with them at the Bridgestone Arena here in Nashville on their last tour.
Oh, wow.
I got up and played whipping post with Zach Brown.
Oh, that's super cool.
It was great.
Nice. Right on. Cool, man. We love branching out and talking about a little stuff real quick. And before we'll spin it around the table one more time and let you enjoy your evening. So, Angel, let me kick it over to you real quick, brother, for any final questions from the fans and anything from yourself.
Well, I got to be sure I don't mess up this request. This is from Martin Monig. He's the bass player from Accept. You are one of his biggest influence. He just wanted to know if you can give him a shout out, a hello.
Great. Well, Martin, I see him online all the time, and he's a wonderful guy, and I'll be tell him to message me later, because there's really a lot of people. Is that really you on social media? Yeah, it really is, and it's quite a gargantuan task to respond to everybody. But I have a very warm spot in my heart for the wonderful fans that have been so kind to me. So I take the time to respond to everyone as best I can. And we created quite a few great relationships. And I'll post stuff about some of my basses and get hundreds of comments about the story behind them. I just posted about the skateboard stickers that are on my original.
Woo! I skate.
Yeah. There's a gentleman from a skateboard shop out in somewhere near LA, Santa Viejo or. Anyway, he sent me a whole bunch of the Bone stickers because I have them on my P bass from back in the day. And the guy who gave them to me was Elwood Francis, because he was Steve Vai's roadie on the Eat 'Em Smile tour. And I was getting so wet and sweaty, and my bass has no finish on it anymore. I was worried about the bass getting too wet, so we put the skateboard stickers on it to keep it dry. Now, Elwood went on to work for Billy Gibbons, and sadly, when Dusty Hill died, Elwood played the bass. So he's quite a storied character and an incredible man. So they originally came from him. So I posted about that, and a lot, and because I was a skater when there were metal wheels, then the roller derby clay wheels, then and then the wheels we have today came out after that. And man, it was a difference of night and day skating on the wheels we have now than the clay or the metal wheels. It was suicidal in a lot of ways.
Hey, Billy, I'm 58. I still skate pulls and vert with Cab and everybody else, so I'm there with you.
Right on.
I'm afraid I'll break a hip or something.
Oh, please. I had mine replaced.
Well, gentlemen, my wife has our dinner going. I thought we'd only go for about an hour, but she's
Okay,
gonna,
yeah, that's fine.
she's gonna get mad at me. So
Okay.
Not a problem. Billy,
Not a
real quick,
problem.
man, but first and foremost, thank you so much for spending your evening with us.
My
Real
pleasure.
quick, for fans that are looking, where can you be found?
I got a Facebook official with the blue check mark, and then I've got a personal Facebook page, 2 pages. People get confused by that. My Instagram is the verified Instagram. My Twitter is the same, and you can write to me through any of those platforms. It comes to me personally, and I answer it myself. And I'm pleased to hear from anybody who wants to drop me a line.
Absolutely. Well, Billy, thank you so much, man. We are planning to return to Nashville for Rock and Pod in the spring.
Great.
Hopefully we'll get to see you around, even if you're not featured as a guest. Hopefully you'll be walking around, depending on what musically you would have going on in 2023. But we can't wait to see you out on the road, Billy.
Great. Very soon, I hope. I'll make sure I have a bottle of red if you show up there.
Absolutely.
Billy, I'll bring this for you to
problem is
It'll be
Manischewitz.
tough for all of us.
Not a problem. We'll just
Thank you, gentlemen.
the guys will have to rock, paper, and scissors for who will join us. Billy, enjoy your evening, man. Thank
Thanks,
you so much
Billy.
for making the time for us. We really appreciate you, and take care.
Great. Stay in touch. If you need me anytime, drop me a line.
Great.
We'll do.
Thank you, Billy.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Thank you, guys. All right.
Absolutely.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Metal Summoners, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us this evening and spending time and supporting the great Billy Sheehan, and a special surprise that we got to drop on you and Mr. Joel Hoekstra joining us as well. Thank you guys as always. And again, just to wrap everything back up to how we started off the episode, our dearest love and super hearts and condolences go out to the Autograph family and to Regina, Rand, and Randy's family. That really caught everybody off guard, but that's what rock and metal music does. We come together, we support, we love, and everything. You know, you guys have all been fantastic with the amount of love that you guys have shown that camp. So we appreciate you guys for that as well. And we got to talk a little bit too, and Billy got to talk a little bit about it, courtesy of Bobby, you know, with extending, you know, some love and fondest memories to when we lose people. So thank you guys all so much. And again, fans, we love you guys so much as well. Guest announcement on Friday for the upcoming episode. It is M3 week. Next.
Jay, before
We're
we
gonna be there.
go,
Absolutely, Bobby.
you need to not cut us off. Steve, put your head up. You look like Where's Waldo?
I was thinking the same thing.
Wait a second. But what's happening in Philadelphia? What the fuck, Jay? Come on.
Yeah.
All right.
just-
Absolutely. Nope. I can't be mad at him
Do
because
I
he
need
is
to big
absolutely.
slap you? Brad.
I'll give you a hint. Look at the shirt. There you go.
He's watching too.
Yeah.
No, Bobby is absolutely correct because we will all be there. My brothers in arms. I really do appreciate the support. So, Brad Lee, our nearest and dearest, Masquerade in Philadelphia, the 2300 Arena. It is for wrestling fans, formerly the ECW Arena, but they do everything from events to rock concerts, and we are going to blow the fucking doors off that place. 3 days, 30 bands, BLE Masquerade. It is being hosted by myself and our beloved Psycho Steve. So show us some love there, but we will all be there in force. We can't thank Bobby and Angel enough for being right there with us as well. Bobby with his camera, just shooting everybody down,
I
shooting
will
everybody
shoot,
up.
I will shoot tons all over you. You will look like a glazed donut.
And Angel will be there with.
Yes, I'll be doing interviews. Yes.
He'll be doing interviews. He will be there with the ladies and with the lady with the paddle and everything to bring out what is it? A little bit of the freak show, Angel.
I'll always bring the freak show every fucking day, man.
Absolutely, for sure. No, we can't thank Brad enough for everything that he's done for our show and the support that he's shown. Of course, you guys saw him on with us not that long ago, and he will be back on with us shortly. So headliners, we have the Thursday night showcase featuring Michael Grant and the Assassins. That'll be on Thursday, formerly, of course, of LA Guns and Dever After. But, dude, his solo album, absolutely bitching. Super duper good. So
Well, then
definitely
you have the
check it.
local artist, Monte
Yep.
Carlo, Damian Monte Carlo from Philadelphia, Friday night.
Absolutely. We got Sonora. We
Whiskey
got
Grin.
Whiskey Grin. We got TMS alumni all over this event. And then we go into Friday. We've got it headlined by, dude, come on, everybody, Steven Adler, Guns N' Roses with say Psycho Steve. Who's that alumni in that band that we know on this show?
Ari?
Oh, how many times? Yeah, more than
What?
once.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got TMS alumni, and we're going to be headlined by Steven Adler's band. We've got Pretty Boy Floyd. We've got Tokyo Motor Fist. We've got, who's that in the Freak Show, Angel?
Kick It Valentina.
Yes, absolutely. Super duper awesome when it comes to that. And on Saturday, we have got the Killer Dwarves playing on that show. Currently, they are still scheduled to be paired up with Autograph. We are not going to lie to you guys because none of us actually know. So we're going to respect all the time that they need and however they need to be supported. But as of right now, it is still Autograph and Killer Dwarves headlining on Saturday for Masquerade. We are absolutely super excited. But we've also got the three-headed monster of Memphis going on with there. Tora Tora, TMS alumni. Roxy Blue, TMS
Also-
alumni. Every Mother's Nightmare.
Also, TMS alumni.
Anyway, Metal Summoners, we're calling you to arms. Get the word out. Support Brad, Angie, the BLE crew, everything that they've done. We will be there. We will be rocking out. We want to hang with everybody and have a great time. But also make sure that you're following us as well for all the updates when it comes to Masquerade, all the updates when it comes to the show. Follow The Real Psycho Steve on Instagram and Psycho Steve on Facebook. Follow Angel Alamo and Bobby Dreyer on their Facebooks and their Instagrams. And you can find me as well on Just a R&R Junkie under Jay Oakley on Instagram as well. Or you can follow me on Facebook under Salem J. Thank you guys so much. We love you so much. Again, peace and love goes out to the Autograph team. And thank you so much to Billy Sheehan and Joel Hoekstra for blessing us and spending their evening with us. Absolutely fantastic. Guest announcement on Friday. We will see you guys in a week. We love you guys. As always, you've been watching the Metal Summit. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on TikTok. Follow us on YouTube. See you next week.
Grinder.
Follow Steve home. Yeah, follow Steve home.
Twitter.
Follow me home. I'm already home, bro.